to the Healing Hands Chiropractic Podcast, another episode with your host, Matt Dawkins, and joined, as always, with Dr. Tracy Rush. Dr. Tracy, how you doing this morning?
Wonderful. It is a beautiful Tuesday morning, and things are going well.
We are literally on the cusp of 4th of July, so as we get ready to celebrate our country, our wonderful country that we live in, Dr. Tracy and I got together and decided we needed to put something together to release to you guys in a timely fashion because, again, we want this podcast to be helpful, we want it to be educational, we want it to be relevant, and to get you just a few helpful tips as we get ready to get into one of the greatest holidays of the year. We've got a couple questions that we put together, but we're just excited about the couple things that we're going to do on this episode. One, we're going to start by getting into some stories, Dr. Tracy, because I'm really excited to hear just what's been happening at the practice. But also, we're going to talk about food and fun and festivities and 4th of July. So I wanted to kick things off, Dr. Tracy, with a comment. This is the episode, Dr. Tracy, I'm putting it out there. This is the episode that's going to get us to official YouTube influencer status. This is the episode that's going to get us to 50,000 views. And so we just love getting to share good news with you guys every single episode. But this comment comes from Michael Ann, who you probably know who that is. But we put out a video a couple weeks ago about how can an adjustment be painful sometimes. And I love her feedback. She said, I understand chiropractic adjustments may be painful, but in my case, over 20 years with Dr. Tracy, I've never walked out of her office in pain. I feel wonderful, pain-free, and so relaxed. And here's the best part. I can't wait to get home to take a short nap. Who doesn't want to end a great adjustment with a good nap? So thank you, Mike Land, for sharing that comment. As always, we appreciate your comments and any interaction. This is a conversation. We appreciate you guys. But Dr. Tracy, we're going to jump in. I mentioned stories. You know, the 4th of July is about telling one of the greatest stories of all time, the story of our independence of our country, right? So, but I know some magic has been happening in your office. You probably don't go very long without something miraculous happening in the office. And so I'm just looking to hear one or two good stories from you, Dr. Tracy, transformation of great things happening in your office. What's been happening at Healing Hands?
So a couple of different ones. I'm going to go the functional medicine side. I'm going to go to the chiropractic, but I'll start with the chiropractic. Chiropractic, I had a gentleman come in, surfer, and he, months before, came down on the ocean floor, hurt his neck, and from there, tingling in his arms. Had pain in the neck, could not move his head, but the tingling in his arms, he was dropping things. And this man's in his late 30s, early 40s, and he was 2 weeks away from neck surgery. 2 weeks away. And he goes, my buddy told me to come in here. You're my last option before surgery. And I'm like, that's a lot of pressure. So I showed him his x-rays, as I always do. And I said, this is what I'm seeing. This problem's been going on more than the accident 4, 5, 6 months ago. I said, this is the plan. And I said, if you have surgery, you'll probably never surf again. And there's something about surfers, like it's in them, it's their life. Like you take surfing away from them, they can't function. That's their place. And so as soon as I said, I can get you surfing again, he goes, you had me at that. I was ready to go. Well, we're 3 months into this now, and doing great, very little tingling, just a little bit of numbness on the tips of his fingers 3 months later, no pain in the neck, working, he's a chef, so he's working really hard at this time of year, and he's surfing 2 to 3 times a week, and he's so happy, and he's referred so many people, so we kept someone from surgery. Yay!
Yeah, living his best life thanks to Healing Hands. That's awesome. All right, you said you had 2 stories.
I do. So then the second one is our functional medicine. So I've been seeing this patient for, I'm going to say 8 months now, and she aches and pains and everything. And I said, we need to look at what you're eating. We need to see what is going on with the foods you're eating and how it's affecting your body, the inflammation. So we did a food sensitivity test, and the big thing that showed up was she had an exorbitant amount of yeast in her system, candida, and she was extremely sensitive to any sugars, anything that created sugar, because it was feeding the yeast. So mushrooms and cane sugar, and she goes, I'm addicted to sugar. I'm like, yeah, you are, and it keeps feeding this yeast. Well, we started cleansing her, and she didn't tell me in the beginning, but later on, as she was going through this cleanse, she goes, I never told you, but for the last 7 years, I've had a chronic yeast infection. Every cream, every antibiotic, 7 years. And if she didn't put this high potency steroid cream on her, in her, she would go crazy. The itching would be so, so bad every day. If she didn't do it for a day, it would drive her crazy. So she said, I've been able to go 2-3 days without the cream. So I asked her the other day, and she goes, oh no, I haven't used the cream in weeks because we got rid of the yeast that was feeding this yeast. We've been cleaning her out, and she got her life back. Like, she doesn't have this itching. And can you imagine 7 years itching? I think of the woman in the Bible, the issue of blood, and touching Jesus's garment and going, I'm healed. And that's gosh, that gets us so excited.
Wow, that is powerful. What a powerful story. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's exactly where my mind went, was the woman with the issue of blood. So thank you. Thank you for sharing those stories. I think that, sometimes we can articulate who we are and what we do, but I don't think anything does it better than a story of transformation. So on the other side, before we jump into 4th of July, one thing that I think about a lot is the value of experience. But I think that there are a lot of people out there that have been, say, a chiropractor or a physical therapist or a doctor for 20, 25 years. And for many of them, and I'm not to put you on the spot, Dr. Tracy, for many of them, they're just continuing to rely on what they learned 25 years ago instead of continuing on their journey, continuing learning, continuing growing. So, Dr. Tracy, before we jump into 4th of July, the question I have for you is, what has been your most recent step towards improving your own health? Because what I know about you is you're a practitioner. You practice what you preach. You don't sell one thing and do another. You do it. You're a real one, as they would say, Dr. Tracy. So what is the step that you've taken recently towards improving your own health, and how has it impacted your daily routine?
So we talked about stress last time, or the time before that, and definitely been under a lot of stress this whole year, and I feel like I'm finally climbing out of it. So my self-care is really important to me, because when I don't have that, I know. So the big thing, I just joined a yoga and bar studio. So I've got my little membership and went on Friday and did a bar class. I've never done a bar class. And my legs were burning, but it was a good burn. So that is definitely one thing that I'm doing for myself. I've taken 2 yoga classes, 3 yoga classes this year. So I'm going to continue that. I still work out. So I've been doing that. That one's been consistent, not necessarily long periods of time working out, but that. And the other thing, I want to go again on the functional side. I took a poop test. And my husband goes, you could say you pooped. I'm like, I do every day. So a poop test is going to show me, am I processing the foods I'm eating? Do I have bacteria in my stomach or in my gut that need to be taken care of? Do I have a leaky gut where the food is passing through? So it's a big, comprehensive test that's going to show me what's happening with my gut, because our gut is essential to our health.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like that is a very trending, but also as we've evolved in our understanding of the human body, right? We now see the value of understanding the gut to even understanding the brain and the function of the body. So good for you for taking a poop test, Dr. Tracy. Continue to take steps in your personal health, not writing that off, because you can relate less as a dad, probably more as a mom. relate to how it's easy to make everyone else in your life a priority, and all of a sudden you're falling apart. It's hard to continue to make your health a priority as one of the least selfish things that you can do for your family, right? So I appreciate that. I'm ready to talk about the party. I'm ready to talk about this coming weekend, and many people are traveling right now. They're getting ready, if they haven't already seen some fireworks. They're getting ready to eat some terrible food, Dr. Tracy. They're getting ready to not sleep. They're going to stay up late. They're going to get up early. There's family in town, so there's additional stressors. And people need help, Dr. Tracy, when it comes to 4th of July. People need help. So I've got a few questions. I'm just going to tee you up and then hopefully just enjoy listening to you helping people in your area, but all over, right? Because we're YouTube influencers now. So question number one for you, Dr. Tracy, as we get into the 4th of July conversation is, what are some healthy alternatives, okay, to traditional 4th of July barbecue foods that you would recommend?
So, grill vegetables. You're going to be grilling. You're going to be doing hot dogs and hamburgers. I would eliminate the hot dogs because it's all processed and not real foods that they put in there. Watch a YouTube video on what's in a hot dog.
Gosh.
But grilling vegetables, grilling fruit, have a salad. I mean, just a salad. It could be just a simple salad. I encourage that. But you still, and my husband, we talked about this last night, I don't eat beef. I'm a little bit into pork, seafood, chicken, turkey. But I started looking at like the fake meat. You said it. There's so many chemicals in fake meat. And I'm like, why would I put fake stuff in my body that my body again is going to see as foreign, so that I don't want to do that. So you want real meat, just
Yes.
lean meat, but add many more vegetables to it.
And have fun. I want to I'll tell on myself real quick, Dr. Tracy. I had two hot dogs a month and a half ago. We did this huge meat order with home food service that loads your freezer up with 6 months worth of meat, and they threw hot dogs in there. So we're having hot dogs for dinner. And I felt terrible after. Man, I haven't had a hot dog in 3 months. So I go and look at the label. And first of all, each hot dog had over 300 calories in it. Just the hot dog, not including the bun and whatever you put on it. So calorically, it's terrible for you. What's in it is scary. You probably can't pronounce half of it. And so everybody do yourself a favor and eliminate hot dogs from the 4th of July menu this year. I think we can do it. All right. So now we've talked a little bit about food, and I couldn't agree more. Throw more vegetables in there. If you love peppers, Dr. Tracy, that's been something we've added here in the Dawkins household. Just a lot, heat to the meal, and for whatever reason, it has just made it more enjoyable. So let's keep the conversation going. Now we're going to talk about overindulgence, right? So what to eat. Now let's talk about how much stuff you got going on. How many people get into the summer, and in particular into 4th of July, and you just wear yourself slap out because you don't understand moderation? Let's talk about that for a second. How can people stay active and avoid overindulgence during 4th of July celebrations? And, because this isn't just a one-day event, typically it's a one-week event. Set people up for success, Dr. Tracy.
So obviously, you're sitting around, you're hanging out with friends, you're hanging out with family, you're talking, but have some games. So we looked up different games: lawn darts and bocce ball and cornhole and volleyball, badminton. Just get up and move around and just laugh. Have fun with it. Laughter is great. It's our jogging on the inside when we laugh out loud, and just don't sit around. Get moving.
Love it. Yeah, because most of the sitting around is mindless, right? We're just watching something on TV. So even moving from the living room to the dining room and playing a board game could be a step in the right direction for a lot of people, right? If you can get outside, I know it's hot. It's pretty much hot everywhere in July, but getting outside for just a little bit, Appreciate that. So how, uh, let's explore some additional tips here. Do you have any tips for managing stress in the 4th of July and staying mindful amidst the holiday festivities? I mean, how do we deal with stress when we got family around, we got crazy foods, lack of sleep, too much heat? How do we deal with it?
Keep exercising, number one. I'm just don't get out of that exercise routine. Stick with it. But you can read, you can play with a child, read to a child. Um, just, yeah, stick with your routine.
You mentioned that on a previous episode, Dr. Tracy, when you travel or when part of your life looks different or you're in a different location, just try to honor the morning routine. Whatever you typically do in the morning to start your day, try to honor that no matter where you are, no matter what the holiday. I like that. I appreciate that. So let's just say, Dr. Tracy, you're going to throw a party for 4th of July, all right? I want you to paint a picture for us. The question is if you could throw a chiropractic-themed 4th of July party, so we're going to really geek out here for a second. What would be your must-have decorations, foods, and activities? What is the Rush family doing for 4th of July? Could be another way to ask that question.
Well, obviously, to honor our country, you want flags. You want red, white, and blue. That is our country. Um, and pinwheels and things like that, you know. I love things that spin or things that make noise. And just festive, just happy.
What are we eating? What's on the menu?
Actually, we are having a 4th of July. We're having my son's fiance's family over, and we are doing hamburgers, lean hamburgers, but I'm doing chicken sausages, peppers and onions. You already talked about that. Grilled corn, grilled vegetables, salad, and I don't know what else we're having. It's
What's
in 2 days.
There's, I guess, is my question. That sounds awesome. How about games? You playing any games? You guys got any
We
activities?
have cornhole. We have bowling, lawn bowling. We don't have a lawn. I'm not sure how that's going to work.
You're so you're gonna have a packed house. You're gonna have lots of folks over, huh? That's exciting. 4th of July is, we're releasing this on the 3rd of July. So, folks, you're watching this on Wednesday. You've got 24 hours to prepare. We haven't given you much time, but we really did want to set you up for success. And again, we're going to keep this episode short. So, just the last few fun questions for Dr. Tracy because we don't just want to educate, we want to entertain, make sure you guys have a good time. Dr. Tracy lives in the world of chiropractic, but her knowledge extends far beyond chiropractic. But I do want to ask this question. This is a question I get to work with a bunch of chiropractors, and this is one of my favorite questions to ask. Who, Dr. Tracy, would you say is the greatest chiropractor of all time? Who is it?
This was so tough. Oh my gosh. I mean, different stages of my life, there's been great chiropractors. But I have to go to my first chiropractor because he's the one that introduced me to chiropractic, and his name is Dr. Jamie Lehow. And it was in Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania. I don't know if he's still there, but he was my first exposure to chiropractic. So for me, he was my greatest chiropractor. And I can name big shots and, of course, B.J. Palmer, the developer of chiropractic. But for me, I'm going to say Jamie Lehow because he introduced me and got me started on my chiropractic journey.
That's really special. Shout out to Dr. Jamie. I love that. So he influenced you. Now you get to serve in capacity. You serve hundreds and hundreds of patients every single week. You give everything you got, and I'm sure you have dealt with a couple of interesting characters over the course of your time, 25 years in. I'm curious what was the most unusual treatment request that you've received in the course of your time serving as chiropractor. Give us a fun story.
So during COVID, I have a gentleman another surfer. He had been under care a number of years, and he had an accident surfing and broke his clavicle. Now, this is during COVID. And he did not go to the emergency room. He did not want to. I adjusted him. I'm like, oh, something's not right. Let's take an x-ray. And sure enough, broken clavicle, one bone here, one bone here. And I'm going, how does that work? And that's not chiropractic, sorry. So he's like, I don't want to go to the orthopedic. I don't want surgery. And again, COVID, you didn't want to go to the hospital. So I said, all right, this is what we're going to do. We're going to work it, and we'll work it together. This is what you have to do. Keep your arm here, keep it in a sling for so long. So we took pictures throughout the whole time and able to bring the bone up, bring them together, and it healed perfectly. So that's the power of the body, giving it the right tools. And of course, he gives his testimonial, and I'm like, I can't really publish this because I'm not supposed to really be setting broken bones. But we kept him out of surgery, and he's still surfing, and he does yoga, and yeah.
That is crazy. That is wild. All right, we're going to finish with this final question, and I feel like it's going to be a trigger for a lot of people. And if you're watching, I want to know your answer to this question as well. So, Dr. Tracy, here it is. If you could take a food item that is bad for you and make it good for you, what food are you choosing?
Well, I am gluten-free, and sometimes things don't translate very well, or the recipe isn't great. And my big thing, and it's not necessarily good food, but it's pizza. I mean, I grew up in New York, and we had the best pizza anywhere in the world. Well, I haven't been to Italy yet, but a good gluten-free, and I'm going to say dairy-free, but I know I don't want those chemicals, but a good gluten-free pizza that you can fold and eat and not be crunchy.
I am from South Carolina, and so I am going to give a shout out to peach cobbler. If peach cobbler could be good for you and not bad for you, that would be fantastic. So I want to honor our time. I want to thank our listeners. It's been a fun episode to record. And again, we just recorded this. We're releasing it because we want to make sure you get it in a timely fashion because we really do want to be helpful. Dr. Tracy, thank you so much for your time. Definitely, it's an honor to get to have this conversation with you on a regular basis. I really do think what we're doing is changing the world, and I'm having a whole lot of fun being on mission with you. So thank you, listeners. Thank you, everybody. We will see you guys on the next episode. Happy 4th of July. And as a closer, I'm going to include in the comments, in the description, a link to What's in a Hot Dog, so you guys can see that real time. We'll see you guys on the next episode.
Happy 4th. Blessings.